everyone. Oksana here, the founder of Remote Rockstars and the organizer of the Remote Rockstars Club group. Welcome everyone. Today in our Rockstar Hour, we are talking about top biggest resume and job application mistakes. And I want to just basically share with you our Remote Rockstars experience and how we generally go about reviewing job applications and resumes, and just the typical mistakes that we notice in the emails, in the cover letters, and in the resumes, basically trying to help you guys out, because I know a lot of you actually reach out to us in your private messages asking us to review your website, to review your portfolio, or to take a look at your resume and to let you know whether it looks good, whether it's presentable, where there is something missing. And I can definitely share everything that we usually go over, and keep in mind, either we actually send a proposal to our future clients because Remote Rockstars is still growing, we're still adding clients to our professional portfolio and roster. And what we notice when we review applications to be our virtual assistants on the team with Remote Rockstars. And I have to tell you that actually the number one thing that we usually pay attention to in the job applications is if you are attaching a separate cover letter to your job application email, it's kind of an overkill. I have to tell you that it's too much. So if you're already sending us an email, contacting us directly, and we usually share our email address in all our communication with the club members. So put everything you want, put all of your highlights, put everything that makes you shine in the body of your email. And do not attach that cover letter. It's too much. The job reviewer or the application reviewer is going to go through your application, and they usually spend about 1 to 2 minutes. This is such a short time frame. So make it easy for them and just attach your resume or your portfolio. And you know, I have to tell you that in the freelance world, there is actually no such thing as your resume. It's more of a professional portfolio that you create with your work samples, with your social media screenshots, with the description of all the services that you provide. A separate cover letter is basically redundant. Put everything in the body of your email. And make sure to personalize the way how you address the email to the person who is your potential client. A big no-no is to whom it may concern. This does not work. Dear hiring manager is also kind of and then also something that sounds a little awkward, I have to say, and really rare is Ms. Williams or Mr. Miller. Try to actually personalize your email based on a little bit of research that you can do on Facebook. The Facebook About section on a business page has exactly the name of the person who created that business page. So it might be actually the founder of the company, or it might be a co-founder. It might be a marketing director, or it might be a social media manager who created that business page and who is running that page. So grab their name, take a look at their profile, and use that name in your application. And something that like a LinkedIn profile or maybe a Glassdoor page that talks about the management in the company could be a great resource for you to find out how to address the email and who actually directed to. So a generic intro with to whom it may concern or just the hiring manager is the very, very, very last resort, unless you absolutely cannot find anything online. And I have to tell you that these days, companies are excited to share their team members and their stories. They're actually posting a lot of personal stories about their team members, so it's easy to find their information. Number 2, what we notice, and something that it's a big turnoff for us, is grammatical mistakes, word omissions, misspellings, anything that basically has to do with a poorly written email or any of the mistakes in the resume. Please pay attention to that. This is huge, especially in the virtual industry, because if you are applying to be a virtual assistant or anyone on the team that has to do with even the tiny bit of writing in your job, your employer is going to notice that. You must be qualified for the position in the sense that you are proofing all your work, right? Like you're paying attention to the details. And honestly, it's a matter of trust. And here, if you are making mistakes, it means that your future employer might make an assumption that those mistakes are going to show up in any of the client-facing communication or in anything that you actually handle for them when you start your job. If you are planting the seeds of doubts and hesitation from the very start, it's basically a bad sign. So if you're unable to make that first impression from the very first touch point of your application email, then if you are not able to show off your detail-oriented nature, you're not able to catch your grammatical mistakes, typos, and misspelled words, it's going to undermine your application success. My suggestion here would be to use a really easy tool online that's Grammarly. Download it as an extension to your browser. Use it all the time, keep it on all the time, no matter what document you work in, be it a Word document on your computer or it's a Google document in your Drive. Keep that Grammarly extension on all the time, and use its suggestions to correct your grammar mistakes. If you are being inconsistent in your formatting, if it's a poor formatting, that's number 3, the mistake that we notice sometimes. If your bullet points are different shape and different size, if you're using different fonts, if you are bolding one point of the resume and not another point that's also repeated, if they're broken hyperlinks, that's actually also a big no-no. Even if it's the simplest of tasks that you're going to be doing for your future employer, right? Again, handling customer service emails and maybe doing some internet research, the simplest of tasks require your consistency and you paying attention to details. Coming back again to my point later, invite someone to look over your job application, even send it to us, to the Remote Rockstars team, and ask us to offer you another set of eyes so that we can make sure that you shine in your application. Another thing that I wanted to mention here, and that's actually number 4, is if your resume and cover letter are not customized to the job that you're applying. And here I actually want to make an example in the sense that ensure that your experience in the resume, your work samples, your examples that are highlighted in your cover letter or your portfolio actually speak to the job directly. Take out everything that's irrelevant. So the person who will be reviewing your application, again, bearing in mind that it's only 1 to 2 minutes that you have to make that very good first impression, are not going to read between the lines, trying to figure out if your previous professional experience matches up with what they need for their company. If you are applying for a social media manager position or a social media assistant, and you're talking about working at a coffee shop as a barista, it's not quite relevant. But if on the slow days at your coffee shop, you were able to participate and contribute to the coffee shop's social media by maybe taking pictures of the merchandise or their products, or just making a photo of a client or something like this that actually went on their social media platform, talk about it. And definitely bring it up in that particular context that actually applies to the job application that you're submitting. So the hiring person, again, is not going to deduce based on what you're mentioning in the job application of what you actually might be good at. So if your resume mentions that you used to be a car repair shop manager, right? It's actually great because you have some leadership experience and you have some team management skills probably that is really good in the virtual space. However, if you mention that you were a car repair shop manager, how does that particularly translate into the virtual space? It actually doesn't. So think about how you can spin it and make it work in your favor. Making sure that you are very clear in your professional portfolio and in your application email, and that you're mentioning those impressive facts about your professional history and ultimately standing out from the crowd. This actually brings me to the next point, and that's number 5. If you're not taking the time to complete the job application in its entirety. I know, guys, like these days, job applications can be pretty extensive. It's not only that they ask you to talk about your professional experience and maybe attach your resume and maybe your cover letter. It's also that they are challenging you with some test assignments and maybe some small tasks that are included with the job application. I know that it's frustrating to go through all of these tasks, and I've been there. I also have to jump through the same hoops when our Remote Rockstars team applying to work with a client. And you know what I have to tell you? We have to go with it. We just have to complete the application in its entirety. Do not skip any questions. If you are able to follow the directions to a T, then it means that you're dedicated and you're serious to this particular job application and to this future employer that you are applying for. Do not send mass applications and mass resumes to everyone left and right. So customize that particular application and your samples of work that helps you stand out to the particular job that you're applying for, and take the time to critically think, do you actually want to work with this team? And when you do a little bit of research on Glassdoor or LinkedIn, review their profiles, take a look at maybe what you can gauge about their personality and their company culture, especially if they mentioned that in their blog or about story, and really think, is this a good fit for you? Culture-wise and professional skill-wise. That actually is a very good transition to number 6. If you are not okay with performing small tasks and test assignments, you might actually lose out on a very good opportunity. You know the way how we at Remote Rockstars look at it? In the sense that those test assignments give us a very good idea of what kind of work we're going to be performing. And again, if it's a very good skill set match, that's what I will have to do. And sometimes when you complete these application questions and challenging and tricky questions, that actually helps you to figure out, is this something that you actually want to apply for? And it also helps your employer to eliminate and weed out people who, again, are not serious and not dedicated to their job search. So from day one, basically, of you applying, it gives you a very good opportunity to follow the process to a T, to complete everything that's requested of you, and for you to make a decision. Do you actually want to go through all of these interview stages? I can tell you that if you are completing the resume or the job application in its entirety, there is a very good chance, I guarantee you, that you are going to be out of very, very few people who are going to end up at the top invited to the interview. That's simply a good way for employers to weed out people who are not patient enough, who are not dedicated enough, unfocused, and are unable to follow the directions. It's very simple. And you are going to stand out if you follow through with the process in its entirety. Number 7, ensure your portfolio, your writing samples, your work examples match your job application and the job description, again, fully and completely. So if you're including any of the screenshots from social media, if you're maybe including the profiles for reference of your previous clients, if they give you consent to mention them in your portfolio, if you are including any of the writing samples, if you're a blog writer or a content creator, newsletter campaign clips, make sure that they're relevant to the job that you're applying for and they're relevant to your future client and their niche. So for instance, if you've written articles about gardening and landscaping, you love flowers, you love different types of weeds and trees and bushes, amazing. But you are applying for a writing position for real estate agents, I bet you their writing style is quite different from gardening and landscaping, the type of writing that you've done before. So their expectations might be completely different of the writing style that matches their niche. So think about it when you are attaching any type of professional and creative work and any of the creative assets to your job application. Sure that your application materials and all the creative and media assets, all the videos, audios, anything that you actually decide to attach to your application match up to the job description. For instance, if you are a general VA, create a portfolio that reflects the social media, administrative, and email management experience, just showing off you as a general VA. If you're applying to be and want to be a social media manager, make the emphasis and create a separate portfolio that reflects and shows off your social media skills. If you want to be a marketing and creative type of VA, then you can do that too with a separate portfolio that just shows off those particular skills and again highlights everything that pertains to the marketing industry. So include relevant screenshots, samples, examples, any types of visual assets, Again, maybe screenshots of the social media posts. Audio and video welcome or intro clips actually work really nicely. You can embed them into your application resume or application email, or you can include a link with a thumbnail from the video into your portfolio, and then that is going to be the personalized video or an audio file. Again, you speaking up about why you're a good fit and why you want to work with that client. That video aspect is a really high touch, and I can tell you it actually works. It works pretty much 100%. So make sure that all of those little elements are part of your professional portfolio and create different portfolios for different types of jobs that you're applying. I know that's a lot of work. I have to tell you, we've all been there. We are all building up their client portfolios and rosters. And if you decide not to apply at all, then there is no influx of income, then there is no support for the family, and then there is no professional growth. It might be fear, it might be some type of hesitation, it might be self-doubt, it might be a compromise on your confidence, and it might be procrastination that goes back to the question of fear. It might be lack of confidence and motivation overall. If you get excited about a job application and you feel like those negative thoughts are starting to creep in, reach out to the Remote Rockstars Club group. Oh my gosh, like I would be happy to jump on a Zoom call with you and give you that pep talk. I would be happy to walk over your resume and your portfolio, record a video for you and give you my feedback, which I've already done for our group members. I am happy to spend that time giving back and investing into your professional growth only because that's going to be a happier you and it's going to be a happier client too. And that's exactly that's all we actually care about. So be proactive and reach out and rely on your professional community. Another thing that I wanted to mention, and that brings me to number 9 point on our mistakes list. If you are inconsistent in your social media presence, I mean, we know that social media and the availability of the free platforms for you to market and advertise and network with your services, that's a huge credibility marker that is actually easy to establish online. So if you decide to open up business accounts on Instagram, on Facebook, LinkedIn, if you're creating those professional accounts, make sure that your banners are professionally looking and created in Canva. Canva is free. Just make sure that the resolution looks great, that the image actually matches up. And there's so many free stock photos these days that you can easily, and they're licensed stock photos that you can easily just plug it into Facebook. You have your name, you have your logo, again, maybe created in Canva. It could be just a beautiful cursive font that you can just put in Canva, and that's going to be your logo. Just ensure that your title actually is uniform throughout all of the platforms. And if you're a general VA and if you want to be a virtual assistant, just put virtual assistant. And then maybe in the about section or in your professional portfolio that you attach to your account, maybe it's going to be a link tree with a few links of different business accounts that you attach to your Instagram business account or professional account. Then just mention that you want to specialize in different niches, but overall your title is a virtual assistant or a social media manager. Just make sure that that's consistent within all the platforms. Also, if you have a old LinkedIn account and it's, you've been maintaining that account for a while, update it. Make sure that it's updated with your current and relevant to the virtual workspace professional experience. It's just basically when your future employer is going to go and check your credibility out and check out your credentials, your professional experience in different platforms, just make sure that it's consistent. If you're mentioning something on Facebook, it has to be part of your Instagram and LinkedIn policy too. Like if you're mentioning something on LinkedIn, it has to be reflected in your Facebook and Instagram profile too. I assure you, if you clean up your professional presence online, you maybe move some of your personal photos there. And it's okay if you have a picture of your fluffy puppy or a kitten that comes out maybe every 10 or 20 posts. I mean, who doesn't like some fluff love? Yes, that's fine. And that actually adds a little bit of a personable touch and a personable factor to your professional personality. And just make sure that everything else looks consistent and professionally done. And Canva is great for all those media and creative assets. And that actually is the very last thing that I wanted to mention here. Number 10 is doing your research. There's so much information out there these days on all of the business profiles and all of the company websites that we have access to, be it the company values, their history, their about story, anything about their staff, and something that you can actually bring up either in your application email or during your actual interview with the company. So review their socials, sign up for their blog, sign up for their newsletter, grab their freebie that's available on the website, because again, it reflects the type of work that they do, the type of clients they work with, and the type of product or services that they offer. So then during your interview or in your application letter, you can bring something up that really relates to that employer. For instance, one of their values is transparency, and this is what they mention and emphasize maybe repeatedly on their social media platforms and on their website. So you have a chance to bring that up maybe and make that a real tiny connection that they will notice. So for instance, I noticed you guys talk about transparency as one of your company values. How does that look, or what does that look like for your company? What does that look like for your staff? And what does that look like for the services and products that you offer? Do you communicate your company goals to your staff? And is that part of your transparency policy? And how do you practice transparency with your clients? So something that's really easy, and again, it will show that you've done your research. And then make an example of how you practice transparency in your professional life. If it's about task updates, if it's about staying closely in touch with the client, if it's time reports, if it's discussions about things that are going right and going wrong, and if that's part of the reflection of how you actually work with transparency, mention it either in your application email, in your video to the employer, or maybe at the interview process or in the actual interview. So that will help you stand out and will make you shine. And the very last thing that I wanted to mention today, and that's actually going to conclude our Rockstar Hour today, is the last step. I mean, I should have probably mentioned this number 11, but that's not particularly a mistake of the job application. It's actually a little bit of a mistake, or it just the feeling of discouragement and frustration when you guys are not following up. You're not following up, or you're just following up and you're saying, did you see the below? And that's it. Well, add a little bit more to your follow-up email. The very last thing, again, that I wanted to emphasize, the very important thing here is following up. I can say it 3 times, follow up, follow up, follow up. And it's not just once that you email again to your client. Maybe in your second email to them, record that personalized video, and that's what's going to help you stand out. And maybe in your video, you're going to mention, hello, so-and-so. I was so excited to send my application email, my portfolio. Did you have a chance to review it? Would you like us to review it together on a next Zoom call? I would be so happy to share with you more about the highlights from my professional experience. And that could be your video, by the way, or that could be an audio file that you just attach to the follow-up email. And then mark your calendar for at least 2 more follow-ups. So you send your application maybe today, and then in 3 days, I would send that follow-up email. Then in 5 days, I would send the second follow-up email. And then in a week, I would send the third follow-up email. And then probably in about 2 to 2.5 weeks, I would send another one. And make reminders on your calendar to follow up with people. I was just actually following up with some of the prospective clients with Remote Rockstars today. And it's on my calendar. It's just a really teeny tiny reminder, and it keeps me on track. If you're not using any CRM, a customer relationship management tool that actually sets those automatic reminders for you for each prospective client that you are reaching out to, then use a simple Google Calendar. It's super easy, or whichever reminder tool that you're used to, be it Todoist, any other tasks that you're doing where you can just attach the date to that particular task entry, and making sure that you're staying on top of your applications. Otherwise, you're sending them out. People might get buried in a ton of different applications. You know, they look at you, you stand out to them, but they forget to maybe follow up with you, whatever happens, but then voila, you're in their inbox and you are following up with them. You are being proactive and you're personalizing your follow-up emails. Anyways, I love you guys so much. I'm wishing you nothing but success. And I'm cheering you on your journey to build up the professional roster you love, the clients that you love to support, whose missions you get behind, and whose passions you share. We are all in this together. I mean, it doesn't matter if you already have a full-on roster of clients, if you're looking for a virtual team member, if you're just starting out, we're all in this together and we're going about this pretty much the same way. And it does help knowing these little details that I just mentioned on our list of 10 biggest mistakes to improve the portfolios. And as I said, always reach out to us. We do actually take the time to review the submissions that we get in the Remote Rockstars Express directory, and that's a member directory for all our group members. We do actually recommend our directory members to the employers who are looking for virtual team members. We've had already a few successful stories when, based on our recommendations, our virtual group members were hired. And I'm just always so happy to see that feedback in my DMs. Stay in touch, stay connected. We love you so much. And make sure not to miss our Rockstar Hours. And also submit your questions. Let us know what you're interested in. Comment below. Let us know basically what's on your heart and what you're struggling with. Because, again, we together will find a solution. I love you all. Rock on and cheers.